Ladies and gentlemen, it is here. It is time. It is the biggest game so far this year. Welcome to Week 13, also known as the Commanders vs. Giants week in the NFL. This is the Parlay, the best television show not on television, Awthentik and The Beard. We're going to answer all your fantasy football questions, give you the pick for every single game. Without further ado, it's only right that I bring in a gentleman who is probably going to lose today, most likely. But he seems pretty confident, and he says he's going to tell me why and how today. So I'm a little excited to hear this baffling news from the best co-host in the entire universe. Not the country, not the world, universe. Mars, Craig, Mars. Welcome to the show, Awthentik. How you doing today,
What's
sir?
What's poppin', brother? How you living out here, man?
Man, listen, I'm hyped. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice.
Now I heard
I'm
you
a little
say,
excited.
you're going to bring in a person that was going to lose their game. I mean, you might as well have just mirrored this screen right here and put another version of you up because the Giants ain't going to lose this game. And let me tell y'all something, Giants fans. Shout out to the homie OBX Picker one time. But if y'all didn't know, in about July, I tweeted out that my cat broke this gnome that I had. It was a New York Giants gnome. And he had a Giants hat on and whatnot. He was holding a cane and a football in the other hand. And my cat jumped up on the stool and knocked him over, and he shattered into pieces, right? And I said, maybe this is, the coming of some good football for the New York Giants because maybe the curse is broken. I had him for about 5 years, and I always told my girl I was trying to turn him around, make him not look at the TV. I was getting all superstitious and whatnot. And throughout that whole tenure, the New York Giants were absolute garbage, okay? Now, the Beard, he tells me he gave me a ride down to the harbor yesterday and whatnot, or the wharf, I'm sorry. And he picks me up and he goes, oh, hey, I got a gift I got to give to you. He gives me an Eli Manning Captain Patch card. I'm super ecstatic about that. And he says, oh, OBX Picker dropped this off for me and he had a gift for you. This was the gift that they brought over. It's the exact same damn gnome that shattered in July. Now, I thought the curse was gone, but I told the Beard I'm not worried because I'm not superstitious. I'm not a little stitious, but the Giants about to come out here and just handle. I'm talking about handle the Washington Commanders in this game. And we're not even going to have to worry about no genie lamps or none of that stuff. All of that stuff, throw it out the window. The better team is going to win this football game today. You know what it is, Beard.
Hey, listen, it's going to be a battle of Awthentik versus the Beard. I'm super excited. I think it's going to be a good game. There's a lot on the line here, obviously. I think the most intriguing part, though, is the fact that we get to do it all over again in 2 weeks. So I won't feel as bad if,
you're getting ready. You preparing yourself for the loss right now. I can hear it.
But listen, we are undefeated with the rabbit foot, okay? For those of you that don't know, I have a burgundy Redskins rabbit foot that I recently got. First game I got it was the Philadelphia Eagles game. We haven't looked back since. So shout out to Ma Dukes for finding the rabbit's foot. But without further ado, let's go ahead and give some quick little shout outs to the people in the chat. Then we're going to start answering some questions before we get into our top threes at each position. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any fantasy football questions, drop them in the chat and we will get to them periodically throughout the show. Big shout out to Kevin at PRF, because I saw him when I was doing the tickers last night at like 11:30 at night. So I know that you were first. Shout out to Kevin. Big shout out to J-Mo in the building. Cowboys or Colts, you're going to have to wait till the end of the show, J-Mo. We're going to be talking about that game right at the end, as it is tonight's Sunday night game. Speaking of Cowboy fans, Gregory is in the building. What's going on, Gregory? Appreciate you stopping by, my man. Kevin at PRF, speaking of Kevin, says, hoping for the win-win today. Giants have a ton of drops. Washington wins, and Entertainer still gets to call DJ the franchise guy.
Kevin throwing shots early on a Sunday right now.
Big shout out to Stan the Man. Top of the morning to you, my brother. Appreciate you stopping by. Another one of our resident Cowboy fans, Kai 001, is in the building.
Salute, Kai. What up, fam?
Big shout out to Tuto for the massive salutes. And happy holidays to all my disabled Giants Nation fam in America. Salute,
They
Italy.
got the W, too. Tuto dropped a comment. He said he's a little banged up this week, and he's dealing with some injuries and on some recovery mode right now. So get well, Tuto. I know the squad going to need you, brother, man. I hope all is well.
Shout out to Tudo. Make sure y'all check out Tudo on Sky Sports every opportunity
Facts.
you have to. Juan Pena, get out the gate. Who we going wide receiver 1 and 2? Thielen, Zay Jones, Curtis Samuel, DeAndre Carter, Jerry Jeudy, or Nico Collins? That sounds like a bunch of twos. Who
Does
you got,
sound like a bunch of
Awthentik?
twos and a bunch of threes right there. Man, Vikings got a tough matchup against that Jets secondary today. I still think I like Adam Thielen. They'll probably do a lot of focusing on Justin Jefferson. So let me go with Thielen here. And I'd coin flip maybe Zay Jones or DeAndre Carter here.
I'm going to go Zay Jones and DeAndre Carter. I'm expecting a big game from the Jacksonville Jaguars today. And I think Awthentik is expecting a big game from the Los Angeles Chargers. So I'm going to go DeAndre Carter and Zay Jones. Big shout out, Juan Pena. We appreciate you as always. And everybody knows RTDB here at Awthentik and The Beard. Run the damn ball. Shout out to Simon. We appreciate you. Rozelle the Great is in the building. Joe Deals is in the building.
Hey, what's poppin', Joe Deals? Shout
out. Juan Pena's got one more question. It says, who for my flex? Jamal Williams, Antonio Gibson, DeAndre Carter, or Curtis Samuel? Well, if you're going to put Carter in one of those wide receiver slots, that's going to open it up. Man, I love Antonio Gibson, but I'm a little worried about how they're going to split that. Plus, his foot's a little banged up.
Yep.
Curtis Samuel, there's just not enough touches there for me right now. I'm going to go Jamal Williams in the flex.
You know, the running narrative in the Giants community, from what I'm seeing, is a lot of people are scared of Curtis Samuel in this game, getting rushes, actually. And I looked up some of the stats. It's nothing too crazy. I think I'll go Jamal Williams for sure, man, for the flex here, just because the touchdowns, you know, he's way up there leading the league right now. I think it's 13 touchdowns on the ground, so I'd go Jamal Williams.
Big shout out, Stephen White. We see you in the building. And C-Bands never stay lacking 45. Mike Evans or Olave, and Josh Jacobs is questionable. Do I start Miles Sanders over him to be safe? Oh, it's so tough.
Listen, with the Josh Jacobs, I'll start there. You just got to keep your eyes and monitor that right now, because Josh Jacobs is playing crazy football right now the last 2 weeks. And when we get into that running back section, I'll talk about him a little bit more. But definitely you got to keep your eyes on that. I'm doing the same thing with Mixon today, man. I got Mixon in my lineup, and they're talking about he hasn't cleared a concussion protocol. So I think that's important to just keep your eyes on him. Miles Sanders is a great option there for sure. Miles Sanders been balling out. I'd go Olave over Mike Evans today. I think Olave's been playing a little bit more consistent football.
So for me, I'm going to go Mike Evans. Now, as far as Josh Jacobs goes, this is obviously very case dependent on your lineup. But what I would do is I would put Miles, because of how good Josh Jacobs can be potentially, I would put Miles Sanders in my running back slot. Then I would make sure that I had put a 4 o'clock kickoff time player, wide receiver, in my flex. And so then, as long as if Jacobs starts, you can swap out the wide receiver in the flex position with Jacobs at 4 o'clock. If Jacobs doesn't play, then you can, save that flex spot for a 4 o'clock wide receiver, and then you can still start Miles Sanders in the running back position. That would be my suggestion as far as that situation goes. Obviously, it has to work out that way, that you have a guy that you can put in at 4 o'clock. So that'll be super interesting. But big shout out to C-Bands Never Stay Lacking. Big shout out to everybody else in the chat. We appreciate you guys joining us as always. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Shout out to everybody who's watching us right now on Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. Appreciate all of the love. Let's see if we got some more questions in here before we get to our top 3. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, to drop those questions in the chat, and we will get to them periodically. Ooh, this is a good one. Paul Wall,
baby.
Drive slow, homie. Mike effing White or Justin Fields? Where are you going, Awthentik?
That is so tough, man. That is so tough. They're both risky. Justin Fields coming off the injury. Mike White had that game last week. Go with the hot hand, man. Mike White been balling out right now. The Minnesota Vikings defense is not good, especially up against the pass. So I'd go Mike White. Wait till Justin Fields gets really back rolling, and you can plug him back in the lineup.
It's so tough because Justin Fields has that capability as of late, especially to put up those huge points. But I personally would ride with Mike White also,
Pause.
also,
Yeah.
because that Minnesota Vikings defense is just horrendous. And we know Green Bay, is Aaron Rodgers is Chicago Bears daddy. So that might be an interesting situation to kind of keep your eye on. So I think I would go with Mike White for this particular Sunday. But I think once you see what Justin Fields is back to doing, I think it would make sense, obviously, to ride with Justin Fields. Big shout out to Sebastian for the $1.99 super chat. Says, if the Giants lose, get the cat to break it again.
Nah, man. Ain't no superstitious, none of that no more. They got to go out there and handle business. It ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm just over here rooting them on. I'm just a fan. It ain't got nothing to do with me.
Big shout out to Simon. Says, fantasy question. A lot of Deshaun Watson questions I've been seeing, but I got one of my own. Watson, Geno, or Justin Fields?
It's easy for me. I'm going Geno on this one. Watson, I want to wait to see. If I was strapped at the quarterback position and didn't have a guy like Geno or Justin Fields on the roster, then I might go Watson. But I actually scooped up Watson 2 weeks ago, and I've been trying to find a trade partner because I really don't need him at the quarterback position. I thought he might be just of some value for a trade. And the highest offer I got for him was Cortland Sutton and Fournette. And I asked the Beard about that, and the Beard was like, absolutely not. So we didn't make that trade. So I wouldn't take the risk on Watson just yet. I mean, their offense is decent. I think Amari Cooper has been doing some things. It hasn't been extremely consistent. But I would just wait and see. And if he shows up this week, then you could plug him in next week.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to totally agree with you. So I think you just got to put Deshaun Watson and Justin Fields on watch and go with Geno in this situation. I do like the matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. That defense is not the same defense it has been in the past few years. And then obviously you're not going to have Aaron Donald, so no pressure on the quarterback really coming from the interior. So I think I'm going to go with Geno Smith in this particular situation. Big shout out to James Funk, always holding us down on the Facebook side. Says, I need 2 running backs, Cordero Patterson, Xavier Knight, Alvin Kamara.
Zonovan, I think.
Zonovan. I always want to say Xavier. Zonovan Knight, Alvin Kamara, Brian Robinson, or Ricard White. Man, that's a lot of potential there. Where you going, Authentic?
I think I'm definitely going Brian Robinson because that's going to be the key for Washington to stay in this game. They're probably going to start off in that first half trying to establish the run the whole time. And I'd say probably on his shoulders, he had his biggest game last week, first 100-yard career game. So I like Brian Robinson. And trying to think, Kamara's going up against who today? He's going up against who the Saints running
Tampa
against
Bay.
today?
Monday night, I think.
Their defense has been a little inconsistent. It is in Tampa. Cordero Patterson ain't it. They're splitting carries over there with Algier. Even though he can, you can see some volume in the passing attack. I think I go Kamara. I can't put Kamara on the bench. What do I look like putting Kamara on the bench? I go Kamara, Brian Robinson.
Kamara hasn't reached like double-digit fantasy points in like 7 weeks, it feels like. So I'm going to go Knight, and I'm going to go – it's so tough. I'm going to go Brian Robinson. I'm going to go Brian Robinson and Knight. I think Authentic hit the points for Brian Robinson.
And I like Zonovan Knight. I did a lot of reading about him last night. Michael Carter's dealing with the injury and whatnot. But just look at how the Jets are playing with Mike White in the lineup. The Jets are really not a 3-passing touchdown type of team, but Mike White comes in that lineup and really elevates it. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do today, man. He'll probably, if they rely on the run and he does well, I'm sure he'll rise up the fantasy ranks, but we'll see. That's a tough one, though. That's a good question right there.
It is. Shout out to the Coco Goddess. Wants to know where you got that New York Giants hat.
That profile pic is fire. I got the hat from, where'd I get this junk from? I think I got it online, but from Lids, I'm pretty sure, just about like a year and a half ago. It was like early last season.
Big shout out once again to James Funk on Facebook. Says, I'm in a pickle. Can only use 3 of these studs. Jamar Chase, Christian Kirk, Jalen Waddle, or the Sun God. Ooh. That is a pickle for sure.
Yeah. I think I'm going Amon-Ra St. Brown. I told the Beard I don't like Jamar Chase coming back this week. Players coming off the injury, man, it always takes them a while. You could use Amon-Ra St. Brown's injury this year as a good example of that. He's one of the best wide receivers in the league, if you ask me, man. He's top 10 for real right now. As far as all these young dudes, he's on the come up. And Jamar Chase is one of those guys that he's already there. But when you come back off injury, man, it's hard to get that rhythm and really get clicking. I wouldn't expect one of those, quintessential Jamar Chase type games. Christian Kirk, man, has really surprised this year. Waddle's been very consistent. So I think I'm going to go. It would either be Christian Kirk and Waddle, or it would be the Sun God and
well, you get three. You get
Christian.
three.
Oh, you do get three. So I go Kirk, Waddle, and St. Brown.
I'm going to go Kirk, St. Brown, and Jamar Chase. I'm going against my normal train of thought here about not playing wide receivers or players off of an injury, but I really like Jamar Chase's matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're going to get to a couple of quick ones really fast before we move on. Shout out to Cody on Facebook, PPR League, Christian Watson or Brandon Ayuk. That's a tough one.
PPR, Christian Watson, Brandon Ayuk.
I'm going to go Ayuk.
Yeah.
Because of PPR. Christian Watson's only getting he's having a big games, but it's only like 4 catches every game.
Yeah,
so
literally 4 catches and like 2 or 3 touchdowns. So
crazy. I think I'm going to go Brandon Ayuk, but I mean that's a good situation to have always.
Here's the thing though, the 49ers are in more of a real deal matchup here. Christian Watson going up against the Bears. Come on, the Bears got torched last week too. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Christian Watson. Who else they got over there?
Randall Cobb.
Randall Cobb. Shout out to Randall Cobb. Representing them OGs one time.
Big shout out to Ray W. Gino or Dak? Gino.
I'm going Dak. Go Dak Prescott. As long as that running game's clicking. Dak Prescott been playing great football. And here's the thing, the Cowboys, they not struggling putting up points. They're putting up a ton of points in the NFL right now.
Colts defense.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on that Colts defense.
Yeah, I know. The Colts last week, who'd they play last week?
Steelers.
Oh, God. Steelers put up like 24 something on them. Colts defense, this guy. You were saying that last show, too. I remember that.
Big shout out to Kevin and PRF. Tough to be unbiased here. Bench 1, Najee, Pierce, Aaron Jones, Robinson Jr.
Najee.
Yeah,
Najee or Pierce. Pierce been struggling, too.
I'm going to bench Najee just because he's a little banged up. And then one more to go. Big shout out to Lax044 for the $4.99 super chat. Says Joe Burrow against Kansas City or Watson against Houston. Who should I start? Man, that was a great episode. Like season 2, season 1 maybe. The Watson episode.
Oh, yeah. I think
classic,
that was
Awthentik and The Beard one. I'm going to go Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow all day.
Houston. Golly. That is so tempting, but you got to go Joe Burrow, I think. Yeah, it should be a shootout, and I think the Bengals are going to be playing from behind in that game.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we do see all of the questions. We're going to go ahead and answer some of those in between as we go through these top 3. So don't think we're not going to answer your questions. We're going to get to all your questions, ladies and gentlemen. Do not worry. Big shout out to everybody in the chat. We got 40 people rocking with us right now. We're going to go ahead and jump into our top 3 plays at the quarterback position this week. Let's go. All right, Awthentik. Who's calling the plays for Team Thenic this week?
Well, Josh Allen already finished his week, so we're not going to put Josh Allen in there. He didn't do too well either. I think he got under 20 fantasy points this week. But number 1 spot, man, I got Patrick Mahomes against the Bengals. Patrick Mahomes, we've been talking about this a lot. Shout out to everybody that was in that space the other day, that New York Giants space with Rob Zero and a bunch of known Giants folks on Twitter, man. I was in that space for like 5-6 hours talking it up. And this tier thing about the quarterbacks came up. And listen, man, Patrick Mahomes is just that dude. Patrick Mahomes is in a class of his own. I don't care. These other quarterbacks, y'all are in tier 2. The Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens, all y'all that are playing inconsistent football where Patrick Mahomes is just lighting up the league. In their last 3 games, also, you got to take this into consideration. The Bengals defense is allowing almost 4 red zone attempts per game. They're allowing 3.7 red zone attempts. And Mahomes, he's just gone crazy. I tweeted this out the other day. I had a stat prediction for Daniel Jones at the beginning of the year, and it was like 28 touchdowns, 3,500 yards. I think it was like 13 interceptions or something like that, and like over 65%. And Patrick Mahomes has already breached all those numbers with like 6 games to go. Patrick Mahomes is that guy right now in the NFL, and he's showing up week in and week out. So I got Patrick Mahomes in the number 1 spot. I got Jalen Hurts in the number 2 spot. He's going up against the Titans this week. The Titans had a second worst pass defense in the league. They're allowing 266 yards per game through the air. But this was a little bit interesting. I was talking to The Beard about this. They've given up the 7th least passing touchdowns in the league. And I'm sure that yields well for their defense when going up against other quarterbacks. But Jalen Hurts is a red zone maniac. He is going to put that ball in the end zone. I'd look for a bounce-back game from that Philadelphia Eagles offense. I think they're going to run up the scoreboard in that game. I do think the Titans will keep it close, though, with the running game and trying to establish that. But I got Hurts at number 2. And then I got Justin Herbert at the Las Vegas Raiders in the number 3 spot. Raiders have the 26th ranked pass defense. They just gave up 307 yards last week to Geno Smith. And the previous Raiders matchup between the Chargers, that was week 1. Justin Herbert put up 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions on the year. And people acting like Justin Herbert's having this horrible year or something like that. They're like, look at him coming back down to earth. Well, he's got 19 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, already breached the 3,000-yard mark, and he's 67% completion percentage on the year. So I got Herbert at spot 3.
And he's done it with basically all of his wide receivers basically in and out of the lineup the entire
And that's
season.
been the argument. You know, look at Herbert with no weapons. Well, look at him.
Yeah.
You know?
You tell him, Authentic. I also really like Patrick Mahomes, obviously. I think that Cincinnati-Kansas City game is going to be an absolute smash play for fantasy football. I got a couple of different stacks, both sides of that game on DraftKings. Patrick Mahomes is averaging 31.5 fantasy points per game. So, I mean, that's basically all you need to know.
Facts.
Joe Burrow is going to be my number 2 guy, but just like I said, I love that matchup. Burrow is averaging when there are underdogs and their team total is 25 points or more. There's been 5 times that has happened this season for Joe Burrow. Okay, so basically the spread is implying that the Bengals are going to score at least 25 points, and they're underdogs. So 5 times that has happened this season. Joe Burrow has averaged 25.8 fantasy points, 313 yards, and 2.2 touchdowns. And on the year,
Solid
he's
work.
averaging 24.2 fantasy points. So, I mean, I love this matchup. And I'm going to even go deeper into Kansas City's defense a little bit later when we talk about wide receivers. But my guy who's going to shock a little people, and it shocked Authentic a little bit when I told him earlier this morning, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has been on fire. His last 3 games, 815 yards and 6 touchdowns. Okay, he's going up against
games, extra quarter. Don't forget the extra quarter.
Tomato. And he's going up against the Detroit Lions, and we're going to talk about that Detroit Lions secondary a bunch today. So that, to me, is just a perfect recipe for Trevor Lawrence to have another big game. And he also can sneak you in sometimes a good 30 yards rushing and maybe even a rushing touchdown. So definitely something to keep your eye out on.
I like
with
Trevor Lawrence, man. I think that he's you're seeing him kind of mature into the quarterback that I think everyone thought that he could be. That Ravens game was, you know, that's a real shocking moment, I feel like, for him.
That's his turning
it's like
point.
getting over the hump. You know what I mean? And even though the Jacksonville Jaguars are kind of struggling this year, man, as far as the win column goes, I do think he's playing some really good football. He's putting that team on his back. And there's not a ton of weapons over there. If you look at Christian Kirk's productivity over there with the Jaguars, it's pretty much the same thing he was doing when he was with the Cardinals. You know, just a couple more touchdowns, but the yards are right around the same. I think he's sitting around 770 yards on the year.
Yeah, and then people were dogging the Jaguars for that signing too, which was really
because they didn't dig into the contract enough, because at first, you know, at glance, the contract looked like it was a little bit inflated because they gave him like 70 mil for like, was it 3? I think they gave him 70 for 3 years or 4 years, something like that.
Yeah, it was a big bag, and it completely set the market this offseason, which was really interesting.
But it was a backloaded contract, so that's why it was a little bit of smoke there.
Yeah, and it's good. It seems like him and Trevor Lawrence have a nice chemistry, and they're working out well together. So shout out to the Jacksonville Jaguars for making that happen. Simon Coleman, quick question: Chris Olave or Terry McLaurin, Cole Kmet or Gerald Everett? Tough.
Fields back in the lineup. I like Cole Kmet. I still like, the Giants are going to win this game. I'm going Olave. Just keeping it funky with you. You got to stop 17 today if you want to win.
Yeah, I think it's tough because Terry McLaurin, Olave is the guy for the Saints. There is nobody else. There's a lot of hands to be fed in Washington. They run the ball a lot, but I think Terry McLaurin has to have a big game today, and Tampa Bay needs that win against the Saints. So I'm going to go Terry McLaurin, and I also, even though I really like Gerald Everett, and I think that game's going to be nice point-wise, Cole Kmet, you said it. Justin Fields is back. Cole Kmet is played extremely better football when Justin Fields is in the quarterback position.
And since he's been playing well, because Cole Kmet did have a slow start to the season. Like, it took him so long to get his first touchdown, I think.
But you know where he went to school, though, right?
I think I know now by the way you said that.
Notre Dame. Tight end U. Tight end U.
Tight end U. I like that.
They got the #1 tight end coming out this year, too. So keep your eyes out for that guy. Big shout out to Frankie Franchise, Kenneth Walker, or Garrett Wilson at the flex. His other starting running backs are Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry.
Ooh, you got a squad over there right now. Nick Chubb's got a great matchup this week, too. Nick Chubb, man, it's weird how certain players in certain markets, they don't like to talk about him. And I think Josh Jacobs was that until that performance last week. And I also think Nick Chubb is that. They're just not talking about Nick Chubb enough. I feel like Nick Chubb, I think he's #2 in the NFL right now, rushing yards. As far as your flex goes, man, just keep the theme, man. RTDB, man. Let's go Kenneth Walker.
Oh, I like it. I thought about it because when you throw that at the end, your starting running backs are already Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry. It's easy to automatically put your brain to Garrett Wilson, right? And I love Garrett Wilson. I'm going to talk about him in a little bit. But I think I like where all things going. I think the Seahawks are probably going to be up in that game, and I think they're going to rely on the run a lot. So off of pure volume, I think I'd go Kenneth Walker. I mean, you can't go wrong either way. But, I mean, if you're trying to stack the points, Kenneth Walker's going to touch the ball, obviously, more than Garrett Wilson. So I think I would go Kenneth Walker in that situation.
I want to know what kind of record you looking like right now.
Yeah,
Franchise,
tell us in your
squad.
Tell us what your fantasy football record is in the chat, Frankie Franchise. Big shout out to Young Vision, Lamar or Trevor Lawrence.
Lamar's been tough, man, in fantasy this year, man. There's not much help over there, man. If you look at the stat box last week, it's pretty terrible because all the yards are coming from Lamar Jackson. I think he had 89 rushing yards. He had over 250 through the air, 2 touchdowns. His wide receivers just really ain't helping him. And it hasn't been translating into these big fantasy games for him, I feel like. I hate to say it, but I might go Trevor Lawrence. The hand is hot. Go with the hot hand right now.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I love Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is one of my starting quarterbacks on one of my season-long fantasy teams. And if you watch this show, I love my quarterbacks to be able to run the ball. But right now, Trevor Lawrence is playing really, really good football. Lamar Jackson has been struggling. Not necessarily him personally, but the team offensively has been struggling. So I think I'm going to lean towards Trevor Lawrence as well. Big shout out to James Funk, says one flex. Garrett Wilson, Kenneth Walker, Tony Pollard, Chris Olave, or David Montgomery. That's a tough one. I like a lot of these guys.
Tony Pollard.
Just one? Tony Pollard over everybody.
Tony Pollard over everybody, dog. Tony Pollard been going crazy. He had that little light last week against the Giants and whatnot, but they controlled the game, Giants were completely banged up in that one. He still did good. He just didn't break the big run. I think he had somewhere between 60 and 80 yards in that game. And he did have the bulk of the carries. That's the thing. You got to look at the volume here. He's getting more touches now in that offense than Ezekiel Elliott. I'm going Tony Pollard all day.
Listen, I love Tony Pollard. You guys know that. I've been campaigning for him for years. But I'm going to go Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker has a big day today. Big shout out to Lax for the $4.99 super chat. Says Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf, Garrett Wilson, or Jamal Williams. He can play 2 of them.
Jamal Williams.
The 3 wide receivers is tough.
What kind of game did Wilson put up with Mike White's big numbers?
He had a big game yesterday. I can tell you, I'll let the cat out the bag right now. He's averaging good numbers when Zach Wilson's not the quarterback. Let's just say that right now.
That's tough. Chase, I would either go Chase or Garrett Wilson to pair up with Jamal Williams.
Yeah, I like all three of those wide receivers, but I think I'm going to lean Jamar Chase. I'm in Jamar Chase zone today. He's pretty much, I think he's going to be a guy today. I got a feeling about that game. Big shout out to Young Vision once again. Says Travis Etienne, Garrett Wilson, or P. Ryan, start 2, and it's in an authentic favorite standard league.
Yeah, I definitely like the standard leagues. This PPR nonsense is ridiculous. Your man, what's your man from the Chargers?
Eckler.
Austin Eckler, man. That dude don't get nowhere, don't even be sniffing 100 yards, put up 40 or something fantasy points. It's crazy. Let me see, man. So ATN, man, didn't he get banged up last week? I feel like he was supposed to have, he got knocked out in the first quarter.
He was banged up. He is technically questionable going into the game, but he has been reported to likely be active for today.
And P. Ryan is dealing with Mixon coming into the lineup. Yeah. Garrett Wilson is the safe play. Okay, so start 2. I go Wilson, ATN.
So what I would do is I would put ETN and P. Ryan in your starting lineup, and then if Mixon plays, I would swap P. Ryan with Garrett Wilson. That's what I would do. Ooh, here we go. The question of all questions when it comes to young quarterbacks, Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow?
I'm going Herbert, going up against that Raiders defense this week.
I'm going Burrow.
Herbert's going to have a big game.
What
else do they do besides throw the ball? You see, the thing about the Bengals is they do rely on the run a little bit. I'm not saying that Burrow is, running back dependent or anything like that. But over there with the Chargers, all they do is throw the ball. And I think that actually is why Herbert is not like skyrocketing as far as these younger quarterbacks. To me, he's the better quarterback than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's got a little bit of the accolades and I won't say a better supporting cast, but a more it's more direct. It's just more direct. You can get that ball to Mixon to get things going and then play action one-on-one with Jamar Chase and stuff like that, whereas Herbert probably has the 2 better weapons at the wide receiver position, but they're always passing the ball. They're a little bit more predictable.
Breaking news just reported. The New York Giants won't have wide receiver Kenny Galladay today after all. He woke up feeling worse today than yesterday and now won't play. He is officially inactive.
Wouldn't matter. 4 catches on the year. Wouldn't matter. And Entertainer brought up something real interesting when we were talking about the drop situations, right? He's got 4 receptions, 4 drops on 10 targets all damn year.
That's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Big shout out to Tuto for $4.99 super chat. Says massive salute and thanks to Beards and Authentic and all diehard Giants fans in the house. And please slap all stinky Boyd's losers out of front door. Forget about it. Salute Italy. Big shout out Tuto. We appreciate you rocking with us as always.
Big shout out to Tuto. Now you see how you say massive salutes and thanks to Beards and Authentic, right? That would be the name of the podcast if it wasn't Authentic and the Beard. It'll be 2 Beards and Authentic. That's what I'm liking. I'm digging that right there. Shout out
beards?
That man, too, though.
All right, we are going to move.
Beards and Authentic. I like that.
We're going to move on to the running back section before we get to more of your questions. Up next are our top plays at the running back position for Week 13. All right, I'm going to go ahead and lead this one off. Obviously, we've talked about a lot already today is Josh Jacobs. He is going to be a game-time decision, so you have to keep your eye out on him. Obviously, Josh Jacobs, John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith.
Josh Jacob Jingleheimer. That would be really good for an analyst.
He is the number 1 in usage in running backs in the National Football League. Nobody gets used more than Josh Jacobs. His last 3 games, 26 carries. He's averaging 26 carries, 138 yards, 1 touchdown, 5 receptions, and 51 yards. Those are averages his last 3 games. So he's a smash play. He won a lot of people a lot of money in a lot of fantasy games on one single play, and also lost a lot of people the Beard money on that last play of the game last week. I also really like Nick Chubb. I mean, he's averaging 20 fantasy points a game very, very quietly, obviously, in that Cleveland Browns offense. Deshaun Watson's back. Now, I think that might it could help, it could hurt, but I'm going to go ahead and say that it helps. I think the offense might run a little bit smoother with Deshaun Watson. It just kind of, it puts the defense a little bit more on edge because of Watson's ability to maneuver outside of the pocket. And then obviously Houston allows 168.6 yards per game on the ground.
Worst in the whole damn NFL.
Yeah, it's so bad. My last guy, I kind of went back and forth with a couple of people, but I'm going to go with Travis Etienne. I'm really high on that Jacksonville team, especially in this particular game against the Detroit Lions. I think that game's going to be like 40-40 something sort of score. So I like Travis Etienne. I think he bounced back after the injury from last week. He's just a guy. When he's out there, he's catching the ball, he's running the ball. The offense is so focused around him, and it opens up the door for so many other players, and especially going against Detroit. Those are going to be my top 3 running backs for this week.
Yeah, ATN could be a guy in this league, man. If used right and then he could remain healthy, kind of reminds me of like a young Alvin Kamara. The kind of damage he was doing when he first came into this league. I like Nick Chubb as well, man. Going up against the Texans, that rush defense is just absolutely terrible. Chubb is actually 3rd in rushing. He's already got 1,000 yards on the year. He's got 1,039 yards. He's also number 1 in the NFL in runs over 20 yards. He's got 11 of those this season. He's 2nd in rushing touchdowns, too. I think this is why I was saying earlier in the show, he's not being talked about enough because you got Williams over there with the Detroit Lions leading the league in touchdowns with 13, but Nick Chubb's got 12 touchdowns on the ground this year, man, 2nd in the league. So I'm going Nick Chubb as well. These next 2 running backs, there's been a pattern with these 2 running backs, and if you know I bleed this blue. One of them is definitely Saquon Barkley. Barkley this year has been having a thing where he gets 100 yards, 2 games where he kind of goes mediocre, falls underneath that 100-yard mark, and then always bounce back and have a big game. He's coming off his 2 worst games of the season, 38 yards and then 22 yards against the Detroit Lions the previous week before that. This is going to be a playoff atmosphere here at MetLife this week or today. So I really, really, really like Saquon Barkley going up against the Commanders. What else are they going to do, right? You said it, no Kenny Galladay. We haven't even had Kenny Galladay for the whole year. Don't matter. No Wan'Dale Robinson. We've got all these injuries on the offensive side of the ball. We're getting some of our linemen back. Evan Neal looks like he's going to play in this game. Daniel Bellinger looks like he's going to play in this game at the tight end position, which should yield really well for Saquon Barkley. And the other guy is Josh Jacobs. You talked about Josh Jacobs coming off that huge game. 33 carries, 229 yards, 6.9 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns last week. He's also had a pattern that he's been doing this year, and it's been 3 average games and 3 massive games. Go and check out his stats on the year. You'll see it. He literally will have games where he doesn't even breach 70 yards for 3 weeks in a row, and then he'll come out and get over 110, 120 every week. Also, it's volume. 57 rush attempts in the last 2 weeks for a combined 338 rushing yards. Come on, you got to put Josh Jacobs in your lineups if he's healthy. Definitely monitor the situation, keep your eye on him, but those are my top 3. And I would say Saquon's probably going to come in at the 3rd position. I'd probably have Josh Jacobs at the number 2 position this week.
And you know what? Another guy to keep an eye out on. I don't have him on my paper, but I did slip him in a couple of DraftKings lineups. Derrick Henry against the Philadelphia Eagles might be an interesting watch. I'm pretty sure Jordan Davis has been activated. I don't know if he's going to be playing today or how much he's going to be playing today, but I kind of have a sneaking suspicion that Derrick Henry does some damage today. So definitely
no Robert
keep your
Quinn
eye on
for the Philadelphia Eagles today too.
Ooh, interesting. Sebastian's got a talent problem again. Keenan Allen and Devontae Adams are locks at wide receiver. Amari Cooper is his flex, but Olave, Christian Watson, and Etienne are on his bench. Do you think either of those 3 guys are worth putting Cooper on the bench for? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I do. I actually think you could consider all 3 of them.
Yeah.
The thing about Cooper is he's built this chemistry up with Jacoby Brissett, who I'm glad you brought this up, Sebastian, because check this out. Jacoby Brissett is going to start somewhere next year. Book it. I'm telling you, he's going to start somewhere next year. If you look at the way he played, and that offense is strapped for talent at the wide receiver position. They don't have like a bunch of studs. They have Amari Cooper and a bunch of fall-offs. Peoples-Jones, who hasn't played that great this year. I think that Brissett's going to find his way into a starting role next year when somebody's, desperate for some experience at the quarterback position. I love ATN maybe, stepping up for Cooper in this one, and Olave and Christian Watson. It's just a difficult decision because you got so many options of guys who are like right around that same tier.
Yeah.
I feel like even Cooper is balled up into that same tier. I don't think you could go wrong one way or the other. I think I'll give you this. The one who I think could probably have a bust game that you could, their floor is pretty low, is Christian Watson, because he relies on the big play. But Travis Etienne and Olave, I think you could definitely consider putting them in your lineup. Now, would I? I don't know. Cooper did have that pretty big game last week. I'd probably go Travis Etienne as the number one person to swap out for him.
Yeah, if there was no injury designation next to Etienne, I would tell you Etienne right now. But Etienne is a little bit of a gamble with that big old Q next to his name. So I think I would probably stick with Amari Cooper.
He is in, though. He's active and in this week.
Yeah, he's active.
It's just if he's going to react, or aggravate the injury is the question. What time is the Jaguars game at? That's another thing, too. Because you probably want to keep your eyes on that.
Is 1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock, so you'd have to make that decision immediately. And the Browns game is
also at 1 o'clock, I think.
Also at 1 o'clock as well. So that's a decision you got to make now. I'd go with what's been working for you. If Amari Cooper's been working for you, stick with Amari Cooper, man. Sometimes when you try to find a way to sneak a player off your bench and bring him in there, and you end up making the wrong decision, and then a guy on your bench is putting up big points. So if you had Cooper in as your gut feeling, I might just go with your gut feeling on it.
Yeah, sometimes it's best to go with your gut, flip a coin, don't overthink it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Sort of situation. Big shout out to John for the $2 super chat. Says, what's up, guys? Thank you for answering my question on Twitter. We appreciate you, John. Thank you very much.
No doubt, brother.
My friend. All right, it's about that time. Big shout out to Waterfly for the $2 super chat. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, Waterfly jinxed this whole season with Taylor Heineke, just so everybody knows in the chat. All right, no touchdown Heineke today.
I'm glad you did that, Waterfly. You heard him. So it's on record now. If any of y'all want to clip that up, no touchdown today, Heineke, okay? Boom, right there. Beard jinxed
big shout out to Mr. Mini Guy for the $2 super chat. Says, sorry, Beard, but Washington got to take the L today.
Don't be sorry, Mr. Mini Guy. It is what it is, man.
Don't be sorry.
Don't be sorry, brother. Don't be sorry.
Big shout out to Nick the Wick for the $4.99 super chat. Says, what up? Pick 2, Mike Evans, Olave. Olave seems to be in a lot of these questions today.
Yeah.
Mike Evans, Olave, Devonta Smith, Cortland Sutton, and Juju. Who do?
1,000% no Cortland Sutton. I don't care if he balls out today. I don't care. The dude can't score a touchdown. You got Jerry Jeudy out the lineup for a couple weeks. He can't score a touchdown. I'm definitely not considering Cortland Sutton. I'm going Mike. I'm definitely going Olave. Juju might have a big game. That's tough, man. That's tough. Let me see what I'll really do. I'm going Juju and Olave.
I'm going Juju and Mike Evans. I don't know. I always feel like I default to Mike Evans.
You do.
Because he's just such a threat. His consistency has been crazy over his career.
You had to add that little asterisk right there his career, because I was about to look at his stats
sketchy.
right now.
I know you were. I can see your hands. Two
receptions for 31 yards last week. 5 receptions for 54 yards the week before that. 5 receptions for 40 yards the week before that. My man has not scored a touchdown in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight weeks since he scored 2 touchdowns against the Chiefs.
He's due.
You damn right he's due. He's definitely due. Cortland Sutton is due as well, too, if you want to look at it like that. Yeah, Mike Evans, man, it's crazy because Tom Brady's not playing awful football, but I don't know. Is Mike Evans kind of, is Father Time kind of catching up with your boy Mike Evans a little bit here? Is he getting close to that 1,000-yard mark? We got to make sure he gets to 1,000 yards again. 702 yards on the season.
Yeah, he needs one today. Monday night. Monday night, Mike Evans, okay, over 100 yards and 1 touchdown. Send this to the editing department.
Send it to the editing department. I ain't going to say nothing because every time I'll be like, absolutely not. It always happens.
Big shout out to Bluegrass Picker for the $10 super chat. Says there are a lot of great matchups today. Twist one on me, fellas. Chiefs. Go Big Blue.
I like that. Go Big Blue.
You see,
you got the Beard rooting for both our teams, man. I appreciate that, Bluegrass.
And then big shout out to Marjorie dropping a Marge bomb to follow up on Bluegrass Pickers super chat says there are 5 matchups today between teams currently in the playoff position: Tennessee and Philadelphia, Washington and New York, the Jets in Minnesota, Kansas City and Cincinnati, and Miami versus San Francisco. That's
some good games. That's a bomb right there.
Good games right there. And then we're gonna get to one more question before we get to the wide receiver position. Then we're gonna go back to the chat to finish off your questions. Big shout out to Ray W. Antonio Gibson or Pacheco, full PPR.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one.
I give you this one. I know this. Antonio Gibson. Pacheco does not play on receiving downs for Kansas City Chiefs.
So
that might change. That might change.
The full reason to go Gibson?
That's it, because full PPR, Pacheco's not going to get you any receiving points. Gibson, on the other hand, will get you those. So Pacheco could rush for 100 yards. Gibson could rush for 50 yards, but have 5 catches for 40 yards, and he's going to get you more points.
That ain't happening. That ain't happening.
If it weren't playing the Giants, you'd say, man, Gibson, he's in my lineup. He's going to do it.
I think you flip a coin on that one. Pacheco been running tough, man. That dude runs tough, man. I like his style.
He does. I love watching him play, too, especially in that Tyreek Hill 10.
Yeah, running back at 10 is fire.
It is. All right, speaking of Tyreek Hill, let's go ahead and bump right into our top 3 wide receiver plays in Week 13. I'm going to let Awthentik go first because apparently, according to our pre-production meeting, I have some head scratchers here. So we're going to let Awthentik.
Oh, yeah. You had some head scratchers all over the board today. I was like, really? That guy? That guy? Okay. All right, we were talking about Tyreek Hill, man. I got Tyreek Hill in my top 3 this week, man, going up against the 49ers. Rather quiet the last 2 weeks. He had 6 receptions, 85 yards at Houston, but I believe that game was a blowout. He ended up not playing late in that game. And then 5 receptions for 44 yards and a touchdown versus the Browns. But he's got the 3rd best target share in the entire NFL. Hill is 2nd in deep targets and 1st in yards per route run. The statistics speak for themselves. That dude's been going crazy. I think it was like as of last week, he had like 1,300 yards already, man. So Tyreek Hill's got to be there. I also like Davante Adams, who I'm going to say this with all confidence is the best wide receiver in the entire NFL. I don't care what's going on. He's playing with a pretty average quarterback here. Let me see. Jalen Warren was upgraded to active. I was going to put him in a section too, but didn't get a chance to do that. But Davante Adams, man, he had a streak of 81 games with at least 2 receptions that was snapped 4 weeks ago against the Saints. And since then, he's just been going completely berserk, man. In his last 4 games, he's got 487 yards combined and 4 touchdowns. He has 5 100-plus yard games in his last 8 games. So that's about every other game you're getting 100 yards at least from Davante Adams. They're going up against the Chargers today. I'd look for the Raiders to be behind in that game a lot and throwing the ball to the only real target they really got, man. No Waller and no Renfro. Renfro has been Renfro is like the biggest letdown of the season right next to
he's on IR at this point now.
He's been the biggest letdown next to Kenny Galladay, if you ask me, because he was a number 1 last year in that offense, and even when he's been healthy, he's been straight garbage this year. Also, I got A.J. Brown, man, going up against the Titans. Now, A.J. Brown, the last 2 weeks, he has fumbled the ball back-to-back games, man. It's just time to step up, man. And again, the Titans have the 2nd worst pass defense in the entire league. They're giving up 266 yards per game. But I do think they're going to keep it close with Derrick Henry in this game. So you should see a lot of throwing the ball from the Philadelphia Eagles in this one. A.J. Brown only had 4 targets last week versus the Packers. It's time to ramp it up, man.
You know what? I when you brought up the point when we were talking about quarterbacks and Jalen Hurts about the Tennessee pass defense, that made me think about maybe AJ Brown is a good play, especially in DraftKings. He's probably going to be pretty under-owned. I got to check out what his price tag is, but it's a very interesting play. For me, I'm going with my guys, my Jacksonville Jaguars. Christian Kirk is going to have a day today, ladies and gentlemen. His last 5 games, he's averaging 73 yards, 9.4 targets, and 17.1 fantasy points. Okay, Detroit's secondary is ranked 29th in the National Football League. So I like Christian Kirk paired up with Trevor Lawrence to have a big game this week. Okay, and we're going to stick in that same game. We're going to go to the sun god. Okay, it is bright and sunny here in Washington, D.C. And even though they're going to be playing in a dome, it's going to be sunny on the field because Amon-Ra St. Brown, when healthy, averages 10.1 targets and 20.2 fantasy points. And we talked about Detroit's secondary. Well, Jacksonville's secondary is ranked number 30th in the National Football League. Not to mention, Jameson Williams is going to be back, so that should open up the door a little bit more on certain passing downs for Amon-Ra St. Brown. And my last guy, I'm going against my rule of thumb of playing guys right out of injuries, Jamar Chase. Okay, Chase is back. I don't have a rhyme for it, but Jamar Chase is back, okay? And listen to this. Kansas City's defense is pretty bad. They're good against the run. But Kansas City's defense, 35% of opponents' plays either end up a first down or a touchdown. Just think about that. 35% of plays opponents have against Kansas City are either a first down or a touchdown. Okay, so we're gonna throw that one out there.
It'd be interesting to know what the percentage is of the touchdowns, because a first down, that's one thing, but touchdown,
big play is a big play.
Big play is a big play. I feel you.
And they're allowing the 12th highest amount of points per drive to opposing offenses. Okay.
Yeah, pass defense struggling.
And the last but certainly not least, they are the absolute worst in the National Football League in pressure rate. Okay, so Joe Burrow about ready to sit back there dropping dimes to Chase all day long.
I need to know what's going on with Mixon. But you know what I was looking at? I was looking at the Christian Kirk stats, man, and the math ain't mathing, all right?
The math ain't mathing.
The math ain't mathing,
the computers ain't putin'.
The computers ain't putin', man. 4 receptions for 46 yards last week, no touchdowns. He's very touchdown dependent. I think those stats are a bit inflated because of the Kansas City Chiefs game where he had 9 receptions for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. Christian Kirk, I like what he's doing. But to be the top guy, I got to give a little bit of pushback, averaging just 62 yards in the last 4 performances.
Detroit Lions defense, secondary.
Detroit Lions defense. This is facts. This is facts.
Gonna throw that out there. Big shout out to Shank 'em up, Shank 'em up, Shank 'em up. Says, yo, I'm back. One question. Zay Jones, Brian Robinson, or Ricard White in my flex?
Brian Robinson. He's going to get the volume.
I'm going to go Zay Jones. Zay Jones is going to have a big game today. Hey, big shout out to our guy checking in from Australia. What up, Lucas? Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you stopping by and saying what's up. James Jones. Need to set my lineup. Having trouble. Wide receivers are Cooper, Jefferson, Chase, Allen. Running backs are McCaffrey, Chubb, Fournette, Jacobs, or Pierce.
That's a squad.
So you get to pick 5 players, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. All right. My 2 running backs are going to be
Chubb.
Chubb.
You got a squad, dog. How did you get all these players, bro? Oh, my God.
Do any of those wide receivers play at 4 o'clock? Oh, this is tough. Okay, so I would go McCaffrey and Chubb and at my running backs. My wide receivers would be Jefferson and Chase. And then my flex would be Keenan Allen. But if Josh Jacobs plays, I would swap out Keenan Allen with Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this one is super easy. I'd go with the 3 running backs if Jacobs is going to be healthy and in the lineup for sure. Told you about the pattern right there. So Chubb, Jacobs, and McCaffrey. And then I think Justin Jefferson, you got to put him in the lineup. I don't care about the matchup. Some players, it just don't matter. Going up against the Jets, that defense is pretty good, but I'm going with Jefferson. And then Cooper, Chase, Allen, I'd probably go Allen. I think Allen's going to start to ramp it up coming back off that injury. It's going to be his 3rd game back.
Big shout out to Land. Says, what do you guys think about Dak Prescott or Justin Fields PPR?
Dak.
Justin Fields.
Yeah, the beard is sold on the Colts defense, but I mean, the Colts defense is the first defense to have Kenny Pickett looking like the pick was worth it. And here's the thing about a defense like that. If your offense can't stay on the damn field and sustain drives, What does that mean? Your defense is going to be on that field all damn day. Just imagine that against the Cowboys.
Yeah. Well, listen, we gonna find out tonight.
And you said I was going to question you on this too. You said that Aaron Rodgers is the Packers' daddy. I would never say that.
Daddy.
The Bears' daddy. I'm sorry. Yeah, you said that he's the Bears' daddy. He's the father. You are the father, Aaron Rodgers.
He said to the crowd, I
can't call
daddy,
another grown
right?
man daddy. I can't do it. I don't care what he said. I can't do it. And if he is going to own the Bears, I don't think that yields well for Justin Fields.
Big shout out to Lax Ofo for the $1.99 super chat. Cordell Patterson or Najee Harris?
Ooh,
I'm going to go Cordell Patterson.
I'd probably go Cordell Patterson, too. Najee Harris dealing with the injury, and when he's healthy, he hasn't been great.
The Carter says, what y'all think about Jameson Williams' debut or Antonio Gibson full PPR? I don't know how much Jameson Williams is going to play, so I can't rely on him unless I'm in a dire situation. I picked him up. He's on my bench. I would go Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, I think I'm going Antonio Gibson. We kind of saw this with Kadarius Toney when he got traded to the Chiefs. He had that one game, and everybody was like, put him in your starting lineups, and dud, no catches. Yeah. So I just wait for Jameson Williams to show up, man. He's been on IR all year, right? Hasn't played a game.
Yeah,
I'd wait.
Isaac on Facebook, Christian Watson or Geno Smith. I mean, Christian Watson, Deshaun Watson or Geno Smith. I'm going to go Geno.
Geno, we answered this one earlier, too. Somebody else asked this one. I'd go Geno, man. It's just a safer play. It's like Watson, we just don't know. We just don't know. We saw him in preseason. It looked all right. We just don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be very, very interesting. That's gonna be something I'm gonna keep my eye on. Plus, it's a revenge game, obviously, Browns versus Texans. All right, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and go into our sleepers and sit-ems. We're gonna start with the people who will be riding the bench for Team Awthentik and Team Beard up now. All right, I'm going to make this pretty quick. I don't like the Minnesota Vikings this week. Kirk Cousins.
You don't like the Minnesota Vikings every week.
Kirk Cousins, you're on my bench. Sitting Kirk Cousins, that New York Jets defense is legit. We're going to find out today. Typically, we saw what happened against the Dallas Cowboys. I think you're going to see something similar to that with the New York Jets today. So I'm sitting Kirk Cousins. I'm also sitting Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook hasn't scored a touchdown in his last two games. He's under 100 in his last two games. Both of those games coming up against pretty good run defenses, the Dallas Cowboys and the New England Patriots. And now he's going up against the New York Jets. He's only had 2 games the entire year over 100 yards rushing, Dalvin Cook. So I'm also sitting Dalvin Cook, even though I'm literally starting him in one of my lineups. And then Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson is just not the guy. I feel like Awthentik has been put in a predicament with Deontay Johnson all year long. He has 94 targets this year, 0 touchdowns. He has 13 red zone targets of those 94, 0 touchdowns. So I'm going to sit Deontay Johnson on my bench. So Awthentik, who's riding the pine for Team Awthentik?
I damn near cut Deontay Johnson like 2 weeks ago, man. He's been – it's not that he's been just absolutely horrible, but he's just like 10 points every week, 10 points every week. And Kenny Pickett throwing the ball is definitely changing the way that offense moves. I'm sitting DeAndre Swift versus the Jaguars. Since coming back off that injury, really hasn't shown up. In the last 3 games played, Swift has averaged just 8 touches and 29 total yards. That is not it. Playing just 34% of the snaps, too. Very TD dependent. He is getting 30% of his snaps in the red zone. So, I mean, if he scores some touchdowns, you might be able to get lucky. But for me, he's on the bench this week. And also A.J. Dillon versus the Bears. I'm putting him on the bench as well. It's weird that with a big back like that, all the red zone work is going to Aaron Jones. I think that's kind of interesting. Dillon did have a touchdown last week. Before that, how many weeks do you think he went without scoring a touchdown?
7.
10. He went 10 straight weeks without scoring a touchdown. He's only got 2 touchdowns on the entire season, so he's sitting on my bench this week as well. Ryan Tannehill at the Eagles. I got to put him on the bench, man. Last week, he played a pretty decent game. He was 22 of 34, had 291 passing yards. That was up against the Bengals. Eagles pass defense is ranked number 2 in the NFL. They're only allowing 183 passing yards per game. So I think Ryan Tannehill is going to have some tough time throwing the ball. He's going to be forced to throw the ball here. I think they will be playing from behind in this game, but look for Derrick Henry to get the workload. So I got Ryan Tannehill sitting on that bench one time.
It's going to be an interesting week. We're going to move right into the next section, and then we're going to get to the remaining questions in the chat before we give you our picks for each and every single game this week. It's time to wake the Giants from the power naps, and I'm not talking about the New York Giants. I'm talking about the fantasy football Giant sleepers.
Pump the brakes. You might be talking about the Giants. Just hang tight.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Give it
All
to
right,
me.
listen up, man. First, we're going to start these sleepers off real proper. Wide receiver Richie James versus the Commanders. You got no Wan'Dale Robinson. You got no Kenny Galladay now. Over the last 2 weeks, Richie James has had 8 out of his 9 targets he's got receptions on, 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't care if it was in garbage time or not. He's got 2 touchdowns. Those are his only touchdowns on the year. And he played 70% of the snaps versus the Cowboys. He's probably going to be out there for every damn snap today with the way the New York Giants are strapped for talent and healthy players at the wide receiver position. I also like quarterback Mike White going up against the Minnesota Vikings. 315 passing yards last week, 3 touchdowns versus the Bears. The Vikings allow the most passing yards in the entire NFL right now, 276 passing yards allowed per game. And this one's a little bit sneaky. I picked him up off the waiver wire. I'm kind of, I'm leading my fantasy game right now just because I had Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen in the lineup on Thursday. But I got former Washington Commander DeAndre Carter up against them Falcons. I'm going to be, I think he's coming off 7 receptions, I believe it was. I don't got it written down here. I think it was 7 receptions, but he had a touchdown. It was 10 targets last week versus the Cardinals. And that was with Keenan Allen in the lineup. So I think that that's going to really work out really well for DeAndre Carter. And that'll round out my top 3 sleepers, man. That'll wake y'all up this week. I've tried to go digging a little bit because it's like most players that are, were sleepers, you should be awake on them now. You know what I'm saying? And it's not too many people out there on the waiver wire you can go out there and go scoop.
Yeah, I mean, I got some guys that should have already been awake. And I think, they are guys that I think more are slept on than they are sleepers this week. Okay, back here in back in the old hood in Wheaton, we used to play a game called Daddy Catch the Bear. All right,
the theme is daddy today, huh?
We used to play a game called Daddy Catch the Bear, and you know what? Aaron Rodgers is about ready to win that game this week called Daddy Catch the Bear. Aaron Rodgers is going to be old school Aaron Rodgers with an injury. I'm expecting him to have a big game. I know a lot of people have probably been hesitant to play Aaron Rodgers. Shoot, I picked him up on the waiver wire 2 weeks ago. So he's been cut in a bunch of leagues and he's injured. So not a lot of people are thinking about playing Aaron Rodgers, but you know who is? This guy right here, the Beard. Also, we have to talk about Zonovan Knight, obviously. No Michael Carter. James Robinson, for some reason, is in the doghouse and is not playing for the New York Jets. Although Salah did come out and say that we haven't seen the last of James Robinson. So keep your eye on that situation. That could be interesting. But obviously last week, Knight had 103 total yards, 14 carries, 3 catches. So I expect a big game from the New York Jets. I expect a big game from him. And then sticking in that game, Garrett Wilson, when he is playing without Zach Attack is back, Jack, he's averaging 10.5 targets, 19.4 fantasy points, and 77.3 yards. Another guy I want to talk about briefly is going to be Jeff Wilson. He's a little banged up, but he's having a revenge game against the San Francisco 49ers. He's got 3 touchdowns in his last 3 games. David Montgomery, without Khalil Herbert, is averaging 18.5 touches. He's playing 72% of the snaps, and he's averaging 117 yards. Green Bay's run defense is number 25 in the National Football League right now. So expect David Montgomery to have a pretty good game. And then obviously Jamison Williams is going to be a sleeper. He's going to be probably fairly low owned in daily fantasy. Who knows how much he's going to play, but if you're in a jam and you want to throw him in, throw him in. And last but not least is Zay Jones. 24 targets in his last 2 games. 19 receptions. 19 receptions in his last 2 games.
Josh Jacobs active.
Is he?
Yeah, he's active.
I thought they were playing at 4 o'clock.
I just got the update from Adam Schefter. He says Raiders running back Josh Jacobs listed as questionable for today due to his calf injury. Will play today versus the Chargers.
There you go. But definitely don't just rely on that because there's a chance, pre-game warm-ups. We've seen it happen before. My man Trevor Siemian was about ready to get some burn, got a pre-game injury.
He ended up getting a start. He did.
He did it, and then got hurt. And now he's
got
out
hurt
for
in
the
that
year.
game because they said he had the was it an abdominal injury or something like that?
Abdominal, oblique, something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that. And I thought he was going to be out. And then when the game started, I just see him like trotting out there. I'm like,
he was like, I gotta get it. I gotta get a paycheck.
But let's keep it funky too.
Paycheck.
Josh Jacobs, Trevor Siemian.
Yeah, two different beasts.
Two different, not even two different beasts. Just two polar opposite players.
Big shout out to Ted Nugent, 81, says Lions D in the Motor City Madhouse. Let's go.
I'm about to go pick up Richie James, bro. I see a question in the chat from the Carter, man. He said, would you rather Richie James over Gibson? I'm dealing with that problem right now.
How much does your heart believe it?
This is just the better team's going to win the game today.
Big shout out Laxo Fofo for the $4.99 super chat. Says last one, Zonovan Knight. I just love that name, Zonovan Knight. That sounds like a rapper name. It does. Zonovan Knight.
Yeah.
Cordell Patterson, Darius Slayton, or Kyron Williams. Shout out Notre Dame. I can flex too. Zonovan Knight for me. And you know what? Kyron Williams might be a sleeper pick today. That Seattle run defense is not great. And the Rams aren't going to have Matthew Stafford. That Rams offense is a mess. Kyron Williams might be a sleeper. I love Cordell Patterson. Darius Slayton's going to be the number one. No Benjamin St. Juste for Washington. That's tough for me.
That's definitely tough, man. This looks like your team is kind of in struggle mode, Lax. I'm going to go with the running backs here. I'll go Patterson and Knight.
Big shout out, Giants Mafia. Make sure you email us or hit us up on Twitter. We still have your Darius Slayton card. We need your address so we can send it to you for winning that. He said Zeke, Miles Sanders, or Leonard Fournette.
Zeke's coming off, one of his better games of the year.
Yeah.
I think I go Miles Sanders though.
Tennessee's run defense is really good. Believe it or not, I think I'm actually going to go Zeke. Look at that. The Beard picked a Cowboy player. For all those people out there who say that I'm a hater. All right, ladies and gentlemen, throw those clips in the guns. It's about that time to go rapid fire. I had the double charades motion right there. The mind blown and the motorcycle. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, the first game on the slate that Awthentik and The Beard will be picking is going to be the Green Bay Daddies, who are 4-8. They are 4.5-point favorites. They're headed to Chicago to face the 3-9 Bears. The over-under in this game is 4-5. Kickoff is at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Awthentik, tell them what you got.
I got the Packers. I'm going to take the over. I think the Packers cover, too. I think they win this game by a good 10 points, man. I think that the Packers' record just really doesn't indicate, where they are as a team right now. I think they just lost too many games early in the season, but they're still playing some tough, gritty football. And shout out to the graphics department. I don't know why this one is popping right here, man. But, yeah, I got the Packers covering. Give me the over.
It's very symmetrical with the oval logos,
Yeah. Symmetry. We talked about that last week. We did talk about that.
I listen, I think this game is actually going to be kind of exciting. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to take the Packers minus the 4.5, and I'm going to take the over. I actually put money on this game going over, so I'm going to take the over in this game.
Hey, before you go into the next game, I just got a question for you real quick. You cut one right now. Would it be Kadarius Toney or Deontay Johnson?
Deontay Johnson.
Cutting him. He's out of here.
The dude hasn't scored a touchdown all year long.
It's been bad. It's been bad for Deontay.
I mean,
all right,
Pickens to me is the number one guy there now.
Yeah, he is, and he's got the talent to be a number one. I'm really upset that we missed on him as a New York Giants man because he was right there for us.
He was there for the Pickens.
He was there for the Pickens.
Speaking
Care
of
for the
George Pickens,
right
up
on cue.
next, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-7. They're headed down to hot Atlanta. The Falcons are in a must-win situation after that loss to the Washington Commanders. They're 5-7. And speaking of for the Pickens, this game is a pick'em game. It is an even money line. The over-under is 42.5. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is tough.
This might be the toughest game to pick on all games this week, man. They're both mediocre, to be honest. I mean, the Falcons really blew that game last week against the Washington Commanders. Steelers are coming off probably one of their better performances, especially from the rookie quarterback. I'll take the Steelers in this one, man. I'll take the Steelers.
I want to take the Steelers, but if this game was in Pittsburgh, I'd take Pittsburgh. But it's in Atlanta. Give me the Falcons. 42.5. I think we get there. I'm going to take the over.
I think we get there, too. Yeah, I'll take the over as well.
Up next, it's the New York effing Mike White Jets, who are 7-4. They're headed to the Minnesota Vikings, who are 9-2. They're 3-point favorites. The over-under is 44.5. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Authentic. Tell them who you got.
44.5. I don't know why. I just got a feeling this one's going to be under that. Minnesota's favored by 3. I got to take the Vikings, man. I think the Vikings will show up. I can't believe I'm saying that with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. What time is this game at again? This one's at 1 o'clock. We're in good hands. We're in good hands. Give me Kirk Cousins and the Vikings to cover this one, and I'll take the over.
Listen, we got a lot of Mardi Gras vibes going on here with this green, yellow, and purple.
That's ugly. That's ugly.
Yeah, that's
the Jets
Mardi
have
Gras.
the worst logo in the NFL, quite possibly. Right next to the new Browns little elf. Those are both horrible.
The New York Jets are going to win this game outright. I'm picking the New York Jets
White to do some things. Hey.
I'm picking the New York Jets to win this game in an upset fashion, but I do agree with you. I don't think we quite get to 44.5. I think we're right around that, hovering it. So I'm going to take the under 44.5 in this game. Up next is, to me, the second most exciting game in a 1 o'clock slate, behind, obviously, the Washington Commanders and New York Football Giants. That's going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 4-7. They're headed to Motown. Shout out graphics department. The Lions are 4-7. This is also a pick'em game. It might have moved back to a couple of different spreads, maybe 1.5. I think I saw Jacksonville was at. Over under is 51. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars in a very close game and give me the over 51.
Big fan of the Bengals over there. Big fan of the Jaguars. Big fan of the Texans, too. It's hard to be a fan of the Texans. The Beard is a fan of the Texans. I'm going to take the Lions in this one, man. I'm going to definitely take the over in this one. I think both these offenses are putting out some good productivity right now. But I just think the leadership of a guy like Goff is going to be the difference in this one, and I'm going to take the Lions.
I think Goff has a good game today, though, too. Don't sleep on Goff if you're building DraftKings lineups. He might be a sneaky play at the quarterback position. Up next, one of these big matchups between playoff teams. The Tennessee Titans are 7-4. They're headed to get some cheesesteaks. The Eagles are 10-1. They're 4.5-point favorites. The over-under in this game is 44.5. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Authentic. Tell them what you got.
This is another tough one, man. If the
tough.
Titans can come out, run the ball, control the clock, keep Jalen Hurts on the sidelines, they'll definitely give themselves a shot. I mean, Washington showed you the formula just a couple Monday nights ago. Man, I just got to go with the Eagles, man. I trust Jalen Hurts. I really do, man. That kid, when he gets into those big moments, when you got to dive through that window, man, he's definitely taking advantage of that. And when things aren't going all the way right around him, I think he's the better quarterback in this game for sure. Titans, we know the plan. They're going to hammer the rock with Derrick Henry, and the Eagles have a good defense, man. Although the rush defense has been one of their weaknesses, I think they'll step up in this one. Give me the Eagles to cover, and I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to take the Eagles to win. I think Tennessee covers. I think the Eagles win by field goal. That over-under sketches me out, though. I'm going to take the it's going to be like 21-18, 21-17.
I know the over is sketchy. You're right.
I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the under. That's going to be tough.
Yeah.
That game's either going to be low scoring or it's going to be an absolute shootout.
Yeah, because Tannehill can chuck it, man.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry goes for like 200 yards or something. There might be 600 yards rushing in this game. Who knows? Up next, speaking of the elf, the Cleveland Browns, who are 4-7, they get Deshaun Watson back, who goes back to Texas, to Houston.
They knew what they was doing with the schedule gods here. They was like, oh, he'll be back this week. We'll place him up against his former team with all the controversy going around.
Yeah.
Terrible. I hate it.
The Browns are 8-point favorites. The over-under in this game is 46.5. Kickoff is at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think the Browns win. Give me the Texans to cover. I think they play inspired football. 46.5. I'm gonna take the under.
I'm in complete agreement with you. Nothing else to be said on that game. I probably will not be watching that much, but I'll keep my eyes on Red Zone to see what Watson is doing and how that offense is looking.
And there's only one game that everybody's going to be watching at 1:00. There's only one game that matters the most, and that is going to be my Washington Commanders 7-5 playoff spot right now. They're 2.5-point favorites. They're headed up to New York, to face the football Giants, who are 7-4. The over-under in this game is 40.5. Authentic, I'm going to let you have the floor, my friend.
Hey, ain't much to be said here, man. The better team is going to win the game. The New York Giants going to handle business at home and set the pace, man, for this playoff run here, man. And then we'll have the Washington Commanders take their butts back to Washington and FedEx Field and start thinking about how they're going to beat the Giants in the second matchup there, while we go take on the Eagles and try to go upset them like y'all did. The Giants are going to come out here and rely on 2-6 all day long. Daniel Jones, we need a big game. And this interior on the defensive line, they got to step up, man, stop the run. Brian Robinson don't scare me. He's a good power back. I will agree with that. But he doesn't scare me, man. It's going to start right there. Stop the run, contain Taylor Heineke, keep him in the pocket, force him to make mistakes. Let's come away in this game with a turnover, man. Let's make Taylor Heineke continue that, that turnover or that interception streak he was on a little while ago. I think he broke it just last week where he didn't throw an interception. But let's get right, man. This a get-right game. That's what this is. The Commanders are more desperate right now. The New York Giants need to just go out here and play the right kind of football and get right, man. We've lost 3 of our last 4. Take care of business. I'm taking the New York Giants in this one. What's the spread here? What are we favored by?
2.5. No, we're favored
Y'all are favored by 2.5. Give me the New York Giants, man, in this one. 40.5. It's going to be 23-21. So we're going to come up just over that. I'm taking the over one time. We're going to get there.
Listen, I am a little concerned. I'm not going to lie. But you know what? I feel like Authentic's reaching for that Spike Don't Care right now. I feel like he's reaching for it. But listen.
No, I'm not reaching for the Spike Don't Care. I was gonna give you a little vibe for yourself here. You got the Commanders theme music.
Okay.
I know Authentic made this beat and all, but
Spike Don't Care.
Hey, Washington Commanders, about to come out here with a logo. Okay, we're walking off the field with a logo.
That's the only W y'all walking off the field with.
Listen, it's going to be a back and forth, ugly at times, but grind them out, win it in the trenches. There's going to be bodies smashing, bodies falling, helmets coming off, mouthpieces flying, touchdown celebration dancing. But the Washington Commanders are going to come out on top. Give me the Washington Commanders minus the 2.5, and I'm taking the over. Let's go. Hail to the W. Left hand up. Game time.
I still don't know what that left hand up should mean.
Let's move on to the next.
I'm on Twitter, by the way, because I want to reiterate that the only W the Commanders come away with today is that damn logo.
That's what you just did. I said, hey, Dennis, half court.
I can't even see you right now because I'm focused on this tweet right now. Like, I'm very focused on this tweet right now.
Listen,
because, the Giants going to win this one, brother. The Giants are going to win this one. Commanders logo. They better have a stupid GIF up here, too.
Kevin said about a 9-hour recovery overreaction show tomorrow.
Hey, it is what it is. It is what it is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Up next on the slate is the Denver Broncos. I think I saw somebody ask in the chat. I might have missed that question about Russell Wilson. Just cut him. It's over. It's a wrap.
Yeah, it's over.
The Denver Broncos are 3-8. They're headed to Baltimore to face the Ravens, who are 7-4. The Baltimore Ravens are 9.5-point favorites. The over/under in this game is an absolutely disgusting 39.5. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Authentic. Tell them what you got.
9.5, huh? 9.5 with 39.5. That's wild right there. I got the Ravens, but I think the Ravens cover this one late, man. I think they'll cover this one late in garbage time. And give me the under. The Broncos don't score points, but give me the under. Yeah, give me the under. Broncos cover the 9.5. That's a weird one.
I'm going to take the Ravens to win. I think the Broncos cover the 9.5. I also think we go under 39.5 until I see the Ravens offense clicking again. That's just how I have to go. And up next is going to be one of my favorite games of the day. It's going to be the Miami Dolphins, who are 8-3. They're headed to San Fran. 49ers are 7-4. They're 4.5-point favorites. Over under is 45.5. I'm taking the Miami Dolphins. Shout out to graphics department, by the way. I'm taking the Miami Dolphins. Not only to cover the 4.5, I'm taking the Dolphins to win the game, and I'm taking the over 45.5.
This is a tough one because the Niners could come out and straight up blank the Dolphins. That Niners defense is really good. Vegas got to know something. Vegas got to know something. I'm taking the 49ers in this one. Will Miami cover that 4.5? Give me the Niners outright to cover, and I'm going to take the over. It's
going to be a fun one. This next one, though, might not be as fun. The Seattle Seahawks are 6-5. They're 7-point favorites. They are headed to L.A. to face the Rams, who are 3-8. That 3-8. The over-under in this game is 41. If somebody would have told you that the Seahawks would be favored against the Rams by 7 points in week 13, preseason, they told you that, they'd have said, you high. You got to be high. I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take the Seahawks to cover, and I'm going to take the over 41.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Seahawks to cover. I'll take the over. Geno Smith playing some good football right now. Kenneth Walker doing his thing out there. They got a lot of weapons. Although I will be crossing my fingers that the Rams could come out here and find a way to take care of the Seahawks because we know that'll help the playoff situation. But I'm in total agreement with you on that game.
Up next, another really exciting. They've done a good job with some of these 4 o'clock games this week. It's going to be the Los Angeles Chargers. They're 6-5. They're headed to Vegas to face the Raiders, who are 4-7, but have been playing much better football as of late. Even though they have only been winning games on last-minute heroics, this game's going to be interesting. I feel like something wild and crazy at the end of this game. The Raiders are favored by 2.5. The over/under is 49.5. Authentic. What you got?
Are favored in this game?
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? Give me the Chargers outright, man. Justin Herbert about to shine in this spot right here up against this Raiders defense, man. That defense struggling. It's been puzzling how the Raiders haven't been winning games, man, because they're putting up numbers. Josh Jacobs been doing his thing. Adams been doing his thing. Carr's not having a terrible season. They should be a lot better than their record indicates. I think it's got a lot to do with the schedule, and their division's pretty tough. But I'm going Chargers, man, outright. Give me the over in this one.
Yep, I'm going to take the Chargers as well, and I'm going to take the over. I think this game's going to be super fun, but I think the funnest of all the fun is going to be this next game. The Kansas City Chiefs are 9-2. Shout out graphics department. Wow. The Chiefs are 9-2. They're 2.5-point favorites. They're headed to Cincinnati. The Bengals are 7-4. They're getting Jamar Chase back. The over/under is 53. Kickoff is at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals to cover. This might be a Chiefs 1-point win, but I think Cincinnati has the ability to win this game. I'm going to take the Bengals to cover the 2.5. I'm going to take the over 53.
I'm going the opposite. Going Chiefs all the way. They'll definitely cover that 2.5, and I'm going to take the under in this one. I think it'll be a 2-score win for the Chiefs, but they'll be the team that puts up the high-scoring points. I think the Bengals are going to struggle just a little bit here, playing from behind in this game.
Up next is Sunday Night Football. The Dallas Cowboys. That just looks clean. That just reminds me of the little Giants uniforms of their opponents.
Thanksgiving Day Cowboys uniforms, man. Them things is fire. I ain't no hater. Them uniforms is fire. When Zeke came out, he had that visor on. I was like, kill. Them Jones look crazy.
The Dallas Cowboys are 8-3. They're 10.5-point favorites. They're headed to Indianapolis to face the Indianapolis Pat McAfee Saturdays, who are 4-7-1. The over-under in this game is 44.5. Kickoff is at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Authentic, tell me what you got.
You know, I really haven't picked like a real upset today. Normally on every parlay show every morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday, I usually have one big upset. This ain't going to be it. Cowboys definitely going to take this one. I got the Cowboys. I'm going to go under the 44.5, and I think the Colts will cover. I think the Colts will cover 10.5. That's a lot of points.
Colts are definitely going to cover. The Colts defense is going to give the Dallas Cowboys a run for their money. I think in the end, Dallas is just a little bit too much. They come away with the win, but I think the Colts give them a good game, and I think they cover that 10.5. And I'm going to take the under 44.5. And Monday Night Football. Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are hosting the New Orleans Saints. Nolans is 4-8. Where's Jameson Winston? Can we just get, I almost called him J-Mo.
I thought I heard a little Jameson there. I was like, I thought you were going to say, where's Jameson? I was like, it's probably Taco Bell getting a couple burrito wraps.
Can we put Coach Taylor in at quarterback for the Saints? I mean, geez, Louise. I had a bet last week that every team would score a touchdown. Every single team scored a touchdown except the New Orleans Saints. They're headed to Tampa Bay. This is a must-win game for both of these teams. That division stinks.
It's a little recency bias there, man. I think you're riding on right there. Andy Dalton been doing a pretty decent job, man. He's coming off 3 touchdowns the week before.
Yeah, well, listen, this is a week-to-week thing. You know what I'm saying? When you're 4-8,
I don't like that Andy Dalton has better stats than my quarterback. Just saying, man. Injuries or not, I don't like that. I don't like that.
I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady at home in prime time, even though the Saints generally have Brady's number. I'm going to take Brady in the Bucks minus a 3.5. Do I take the over, though? Under 40.5.
I'm with you. Taking the under. I'll take the Bucks, too, man. Tough loss to the Browns this past week, man. Tom Brady got to get them in position, man. He's got to get them going, man, because they're probably going to end up winning that division. They'll probably end up making the playoffs and probably have a home game against probably an NFC East team. In that case, I kind of want the Bucks to lose, but I think they'll beat the Saints here, man. Both of these teams underwhelming this year, but give me the Bucks. I think they'll cover it, and I'll take the under.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this portion of the show, also known as Rapid Fire. Shout out to the sound department, man. Sound department, graphics department. Shout out to all departments here at Awthentik.
Shout out to the department. Shout out to the beard over there too, man.
Man, I'm on edge right now. I'm not gonna lie. I'm on edge.
It hasn't even settled in yet. It hasn't even settled in yet. I need to know what's going on with Mixon, man.
They're not gonna find out until
it's horrible.
4 o'clock.
Give me some news, man. When is Josh Jacobs playing? Don't he play at 4 o'clock? I got that news.
That's why it was so weird to me when that news came out.
That's why it's so weird to me. It's not coming out about Joe Mixon yet. It's a goddamn concussion, man. If you woke up this morning and the dude's walking around wobbly, all right, he ain't playing today. Let me know, man. I don't get it. I really don't get it, yo.
You don't have a swindle move you could pull? Like you don't have anybody at 4 o'clock you could swap out, do you?
No. Nope. Algier and my other running back is Jalen Warren. Both play at 1 o'clock.
Is there a running back at 4 o'clock on the waiver wire do you have anybody on your team that's expendable right now? First question.
Deontay Johnson, and he's out of here.
Okay. So is there another player at 4 o'clock that is even remotely close to giving you points if Joe Mixon doesn't play?
Abdullah for the Raiders.
Well, that's tough because Josh Jacobs gets 90% of the touches.
DJ Dallas for the Seahawks.
Man, he hasn't done anything because Travis Homer's been getting all the burn there.
You see where I'm at?
Is Homer on there? Is Homer in the pool?
Nope and nope. Joshua Kelly.
That might be a way. That's your best option. There's no
4 points last week against the Cardinals.
I mean, 4 is better than 0.
Ah, man, it's bad. It's bad, man. It's really bad. Mark Ingram, Monday night.
What has he done lately?
Mark Ingram has 4 attempts last week for 10 yards, 1 fantasy point. He has not breached 7.8 all year. It's tough, man.
Keep your eye on Joshua Kelly. That's all I can tell you, brother.
God. Mr. Mixon. Come on, man.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, we want to give everybody a big shout out because this is a big week for Awthentik and The Beard. You guys have been absolutely amazing. We did post a nice, quick 6-minute hype video, okay, for all the Commanders fans, all the Giants fans. When you leave here, go watch that video, give it a thumbs up. Tell us in the comment section who you think is going to win the Giants-Commanders game. Tell us the score of how many points Washington beats the Giants by, okay? And, enjoy the game. Listen, Awthentik said it hasn't even kicked in yet. And I think we did a good job of allowing you guys a perfect 30 minutes to get settled in, okay? Grab a plate of food, open up your laptop for the side chick games, okay? Because the main wifey is on the big screen. Giants Commanders. Red Zone is the side chick game today, okay? So big shout out to everybody in the chat. We appreciate all the love. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to tell a friend about Awthentik and The Beard. I got the Gibbs R hat on. I got the rabbit foot. It's the rabbit foot versus the gnome. Week 13.
No superstitions over here for the New York Giants, man. It's all those superstitions with the Washington Commanders up against a juggernaut. Did you talk about the buzzsaw yet?
I did not. I left the buzzsaw out of it. I didn't want to jinx it.
Got a little X-Acto knife. I showed you on Twitter. Little box cutter. That's about it.
We're going to see, though.
It's all about 2-6 today, man. It's all about 2-6, brother.
What's your final score? What's your final score again?
23-21 New York Giants.
I think I had 24-20.
We shall see, man. Appreciate all of y'all rocking with us, man. Got kickoff here in about a good 40 minutes, man. This is the game of the year for me, man. I'm gonna definitely enjoy this one for sure. I'm gonna try to not lose my cool early in this one. And the Giants put up some points in the first half. We'll take care of business. This game will be easy. We'll be Vanilla Vic and all that stuff on the sidelines later on. Appreciate all of y'all rocking with us today, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Keep living those dreams. Keep raising that bar because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. Rest in peace to the podcast GOAT, Combat Jack himself. Enjoy y'all Sunday, man. It's going to be a good one. Turn on some Red Zone. Do your thing, man. This was a fantastic vibe to start the day off. We appreciate, again, all of y'all coming through, rocking with us, giving us all these fantasy questions, man, and helping me out with my lineup. We'll see what happens here, man. I'm hoping I can get the victory and get to the playoffs. The Beard, best of luck to you today, man, in your fantasy football. You're going to need it because you're not getting a win in real football. So crossing my fingers you can get your win in, your fantasy vibes, man. Any last words for the people before we bury y'all casket deep down into Washington, D.C.'s dirt?
Left hand up.
I still don't know what that shit means. Y'all be good, Joe. We'll catch y'all next week, man. Peace.